What up, what up? Welcome to C-Rod Stained Glass. Thank you so much for being here. Today we're going to be talking about how to apply jump rings to hobby cane. It's relatively very, very similar to applying regular jump rings. The only difference is you're going to be wrapping it around the hobby cane instead of just foiled glass. So let me get into that with you guys today. So what you're going to need is your soldering iron set to 410. I usually set it a little higher, even though you're dealing with hobby cane. You're more or less dealing with the seams of your solder lines when you're applying jump rings, and not so much putting your iron onto your hobby cane. So I always put my iron to 410. So you're going to want to put your iron at 410, and I use 16 gauge wire. You can use any kind of wire, any gauge wire that you like, but I prefer 16 gauge wire, and I also prefer it to be already tinned. So I have 16 gauge tinned copper wire, and that's what I'll be using today. So you're going to want to pull about, I would say, 1.5 inches of wire out, and you're going to clip that off. Holy smokes, that went flying across my room, and I am not getting up to get that right now. So we're going to try that again. And you're going to want to put it down because it does go flying, as you can see. So what you're going to want to do is about 1 inch, little more than 1 inch, and I like to do a small loop. It's all about preference. If you want a big loop, do a big loop. Again, it depends on the project, and it depends on your taste. I like my jump rings to kind of be not seen as much as possible. So I do them as small as I possibly can, or on the smallest ring here that I have, this little nifty tool. I will do a more detailed video on how to create different jump rings. If you guys are interested in that, let me know in the comments, and I'll make a video on, you know, different kinds of jump rings and stuff like that. But the jump ring that I just made, it has 2 relatively long tails. You know, you kind of just need to figure out, you know, how long you want the tails to be, and then you can just clip them to the size that you like. I usually do about 1/2 inch on each side. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your jump ring, and you're going to want to take each tail, and you're going to want to put 1 tail on each side of your hobby cane, and one tail on the back side on the seam that you're going to follow. You're going to want to follow a seam that you can put your tail into, and then you're going to do it also on the front side with the tail on the front side, okay? Always start on the back side. This way I can kind of get my jump ring anchored in, so when I move to the front side, it's a little bit easier to manage, and I can kind of just make it look prettier. So now what you're going to want to do is, I don't have my gloves on. Let me put my gloves on real quick. And what you're going to also want to do is you're going to want to use pliers of some sort, because it gets hot. You're gonna want to hold the end of your jump ring with pliers, and you just kind of hold it into the seam and you line it up, and you're gonna take your 60-40 and you're gonna take some flux. I'm using gel flux. I switch back and forth between gel and paste. I love both. It just depends on what you like. And you're going to take a little bit of solder and you're just going to dab it on, and you're going to push that wire seam or wire tail down into the seam of solder, and it'll all heat up. You're going to want to put that all down there, get it nice and hot, and it'll start to melt, and you can just push your wire down into the seam. Okay, so you can see here I just have it pushed down into the seam, and voila. Okay, and then it just all done. Okay, and you can see it's pushed down, it's hidden, you don't really notice it. You know, if you do notice it, you can go back and you can put more solder, or you can push it down more if you need to. And then you just go to the front side, and you're going to flip to the front, and depending on excuse me, depending on where your seam is, you might need to use your pliers, and you might need to bend it you know, in the direction that you want it to go. And you also might want to cut it down a little bit. You might not need it so long anymore, so you can cut it down. You just want to shape it to your line, okay? And again, you're just going to add some flux, okay? And you want to take some solder, and you're just going to want to push that solder. See, I don't really need to hold it now on the front side because it's already anchored on the back. I can kind of just do what I need to do on the front here. It's a little easier to handle. But you're just going to want to add however much solder you need, depending on the amount you had before, or, you know, what you need to cover. And like I said, you just kind of push the wire and you bend it down into the seam, and you hide it under that solder as best you can. Okay? And you just push it down. I keep seeing that I need to add some more solder because I want it to hide. I wanted to hide it. There we go. All right. Okay, and that's that. All right, so now, as you can see, it goes around the hobby cane, and, you know, you can take your, you know, pliers and, you know, smush it down. You can twist it how you want it. You could spin it more. You can remove it and redo it if you don't like it that way. But that's pretty much it, guys. If you, like I said, want to see more about jump rings, let me know in the comments, or if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Much love always. Peace.